My fancy telephone says it's... Okay, it is Tuesday, October 27th, 2020. We'll call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
One and one.
Okay. I'm going to ask for minutes and reports received and filed. None. Okay. Commissioner Committee Liaison Reports, upcoming meetings and events.
I haven't a whole lot. We got our meeting Thursday's about it.
So the only thing that I have is an RPC annual meeting dinner, but I know we're not having the dinner, so I'm not sure if we're having the meeting or not. That's Wednesday at 5:30. But I'm not sure. I'll have to check.
I think today we have a policy group call, and then tomorrow I get
That is correct.
Yes. Tomorrow I get to speak at noon at Lions, so if any of our members want to come. And then we've got a bicentennial meeting at 3 p.m. We're getting close, November 7th, Saturday the 7th is our dedication of the monument and kind of a celebration at the flagpole. And Friday, I've got a Stars and Stripes, Missouri Veterans Hall of Fame. Saturday is downtown trick or treat. Jeff, if you want to.
I'm on that.
Okay, that's all I've got. Appointments by commission, reappointment of Travis Dahl to on-site wastewater treatment systems board of review. I have our court order.
I move that we reappoint Travis Dahl to on-site wastewater treatment systems.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any commission comments? Bids and contracts. Signing of contract for 2020-27 courtroom remodel.
I do have a contract for you to sign with GBH. You guys did approve it last week.
I move that we sign a contract with GBH Builders.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Discussion and approval of ad for Cad Bid.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
What we'd like to do is put an ad in the paper to get bids for CAD systems. The current one that we're using isn't meeting the needs. There are some things that we'd like to see in a CAD system, such as an interface with the call information coming over from Jeff City. We'd like to see rapid 911 pulse points as a system. Our current CAD vendor took over 9 months to put together an API to transfer data from the CAD system into our EPCR, and some of that data is still not moving over. We've reached out for almost 2 months now and have not been able to get a resolution. So when that data imports, we're losing times and things like that get reported to the state. So that's another thing that we're having problems with. So we'd like to go out and see what kind of quotes we can get from different CAD vendors, and then we can look at those and then have a conversation of what we feel, if we feel it's best to move forward with something, and what that would be.
Yeah, I'm good with running the
Yeah.
ad.
You said we're just gonna go out and look and see what we got out there, what options we have.
Move that we approve the advertisement for the CAD bid.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
Do we have any unfinished business? New business, accounts payable review.
I'd ask for approval accounts payable pending review.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, approval of CARES Act application request.
Teresa, I think that's you today. I don't see Julie on the call.
Yeah, Julie just emailed that she's sick, so looks like it'll just be me today. Should be, I gotta stop saying this, but it should be a pretty quick one. Just gonna do a couple funding requests and talk more a little bit about the hospitals and then see what you guys wanna do. But no municipalities or public schools. We did have a couple internal requests. The first one, DO202, this is an increase from the original application. This is the Recorder of Deeds. They had a remodel of, I think it was their marriage license reference desk. So the cost came in a little bit higher than what they had asked for. So the original cost that they asked for was $2,815, and the actual cost was $4,328. So that's what that request is just that increase. And then the second one is for the sheriff's department. They've got some tests that they're doing on the staff and the inmates. So they needed a refrigerator to store those testing kits and things like that. So that's what that second one is for.
Yeah, I'm good with those.
Yeah, I'm good.
So the first one was for like a change order or something?
So Judy had submitted an application prior to replace the desk and redo that back part where the public comes and researches.
Right?
I guess the amount was more than she expected, so this is the difference between what was
Yeah,
originally asked.
she said after mapping out the workflow process for the patron effectiveness with the guys at Samco, they changed it just a little bit for that 13 amount. So yeah, I guess it would be a change order in that respect.
I mean, I'm good with it. It seems like she should have came to us and got that approved before they changed it, but,
I'm not sure where that email in the folder came from.
anyway, you guys are good?
We're good, yeah,
Yeah, I'm good with it. I don't disagree with you though that
yeah.
change orders need to come. I was just thinking that it wasn't actually a firm bid, so we got the work done.
Yeah, I don't know. Was the original paperwork an actual invoice, or was it just a quote, or?
I'm pretty sure it was just a quote. Let me look real quick.
Because I mean, it's different if it's just an estimate and a bid. There's a difference between the two of them, but they also have change orders, so it sounds like it was a bid and then they had a change order. I thought we were just saying, okay, well, we think it's gonna cost $4,500 or $6,000, and then they come in.
Yeah, it just says furniture or proposal for it. So the original was like an all steel terrace station, and the delivery and installation for the 2008-15. So it was a proposal at that time.
So it was proposal and a change order.
Okay, I move that we approve D-02-02.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Move that we approve D-04-03.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so move back down to the healthcare providers. The only change here is that I have updated those cap region expenses for those updates that Tom gave me last Tuesday. So those are in place of what his actual numbers have been. So I don't know what you guys have thought about how we want to start spending money on these. I don't know if there's any more information you want from me or.
Did it change any of the percentages? Did it change any of the percentages of the tests?
No, the percentages I gave you last time were the new ones, so the
Okay.
54% Cole County.
Because I was asked to
and
revisit
the
that
test.
motion.
I didn't get an update on the test to date, so I still have the test from October.
Okay,
19th
so it hasn't
and
changed.
October 15th.
All right, because I was asked to revisit the motion I made last week that died from lack of second, so I'm still fine with doing a third of it. A third of the 1.5 million, not a third of what we have left. just to clarify, so it'd be 500,000. And my motion was based on the total number of tests, 29,967, and by the percentages, which 58.6% was for the E1910, and 41.4% was E1977. So my motion would be based on that to award $293,000 to the E1910 and $207,000 to the E1977.
And I will second it. I got it. Judge Beadham was in, and I am no longer on the board of Cap Region. So since I'm not a voting member, he said I do not have a conflict of interest, and Jill also confirmed that, so I will second that motion.
Okay, now that's up to you. I was fine with it last week. I'm still fine with spending some of the money. I know there was a letter in the News Tribune about testing too, and somebody was terribly misinformed.
Well, this
because-
doesn't have anything to do with that,
I
but
know,
I just,
but
yeah.
it's saying testing, and this is absolutely what it's got to do with, and I don't know where they get their information from, but they seem to think that if we had this money, we could have bought this trailer 6 months ago, and so, I don't know.
Yeah, it's,
Idiots.
I'm sorry, Sam, but that's a huge ethical violation there. And so you did serve on the board, and that you're approving funding for when you did serve on the board, and so that's wrong. And you know it's wrong, and that's why you had chosen to abstain in the past, so.
Well, I'm just, Judge Beadham and Jill both said I am no longer a voting member on the board of directors of Capital Region. So,
Well, it's not the first time that you've crossed the line either, so, I mean, having meetings with folks when you served on that board, so talking to those people about different departments within the county, so, anyway. Just don't think it's right, it's not ethical, and it's a huge violation.
well, going by our attorney and going by Judge, I'm still gonna second it, so. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
So did you want those round numbers, so 293 and 207?
Correct.
Okay,
If my math somewhere was flawed or whatever,
Yeah.
I mean, let us know, but that's what I came up with, and it was nice.
I have
round.
293, 022, so if you want to round those off, I'm fine.
I just did 58.6% times the,
Well, that was all I had today. We had a couple, I think just one new one in the small business, but we were still needing some information from them to approve that. The applications have slowed pretty significantly, so I don't know if you want to let people know that, we're still taking applications. There's still some money to be spent in here, especially for like the small businesses and things like that. So, but I think we're getting maybe one or two like every other day. So just want to make sure we can get this money spent with those that need it. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
all right, thanks.
Thanks.
Teresa.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on. Assessor's office to present
So
corrections.
jumpy for it.
We've got 4 for errors and omissions today. These were put on, I think originally, new construction, but they're actually occupancy. They were put on and the land value was not locked in, so it created an error. So we're asking for that correction today. And there are 4 properties.
So what was the reason behind this, Chris?
They were put on as new construction, but they should have been occupancy, so the land value was not locked in, and it created an error putting it on at the beginning of the year instead of for the occupancy when it became occupied, which would have been later in the year.
So these are all credits. Is that right?
Pardon?
They're all credits?
I guess you could say they're credits. I didn't know that the bills haven't been paid yet. Is that how we consider them?
Well, so if you put them on.
It's a reduction of value is what it is.
Right. Okay. You guys good with that?
Yeah,
You want to see it?
no, saw the email.
So what are we approving?
Corrections.
So is this, we're approving corrections or we're omissions and errors, or what is this
Errors
called?
and omissions
Errors and
are for clerical errors.
Yeah,
So this would be a correction to the
Corrections, yes.
valuation.
so it is an error and omission.
Yes.
Okay. I move that we approve the errors and omissions presented by the assessor's office.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're gonna table, is Eric, Erickson here, did you want us, we're just gonna table the public hearing and court order for no parking on Castle Rock
That's correct.
Drive, so,
And if you have other things to do, I can go at the end for my public hearing that I gotta present. If you'd rather wait till the end, I gotta set up for that,
okay,
so.
okay, we
Well,
will,
this, all right, unless we have other items, this last item could take a while.
What it is. Well, if you don't mind me setting up, it won't take but a minute or so.
Are you just plugging into here, or where are you?
If we can hook into the projector,
Are
that'd be
you
great.
plugging your laptop in?
I got it on my laptop.
So I need to unplug.
If it will, I had trouble getting it to hook up, there was snake last time, so. I brought my own projector, if I can use it.
Here's this one, Lynn.
And do these two.
I don't have it on HDMI. Crazy as it sounds, it's 2 years old, it doesn't have HDMI.
So,
She's got it.
I know, but you don't have this either, do you?
Or I could just hook mine up. begin. This is a public hearing for traffic safety code amendments. And as Sam said, I asked that we table. We also had originally on the agenda some changes or some no parking on Castle Rock. I'd like to revisit our process of notifying the public when we do these, and so that one I want to table to a future meeting. This one will just be on the traffic safety code amendments, and the amendments are for commercial vehicle regulation. History behind this: Tanner Bridge Road has been having several issues with tractor trailer trucks using it as a route to get to Meta, Missouri, primarily to go to Diamond Dog Food. We've had similar issues going back a few years with trucks going down to trying to get to the Jefferson City Correctional Center, going through Osage City to get to what is a back way entrance into the area. This all ties back to Google Maps, is sending people the quickest route, or sending drivers the quickest route, and not taking them on the best route or the state routes.
You got a delay or something, you're not.
Really?
Yep.
So, we may have to wait a little bit. I can keep talking, and I can set this up if we really, that would work better.
Did you email that to us, sir?
I emailed you. You should have a PDF of it.
Okay.
Or Melanie would attach that to the agenda.
Oh, that's the one on the agenda.
Yeah. I think I've had this issue before with this. Got to plug in. I can plug it in. Plug that one in.
You just don't pull it up on your computer, Dave? We should go wireless or something, that'd be pretty cool.
Be a lot easier, wouldn't it?
Over to me.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, back at it. So as I was saying, we've had issues with truck traffic using Tanner Bridge Road and roads down in Osage City, trying to get to destinations that Google Maps is sending them this way, when it would be better to use state routes or city roads to get there. Tanner Bridge Road, you can see the two arrows. Google Maps actually sends, if you're going down through like towards St. Thomas or Meta, it'll send them down Tanner Bridge, hit the spur down here and get back onto Route B rather than go through Route B into Wardsville. It's a shorter route, and that's the route that the drivers are going. We received a citizen petition on Tanner Bridge Road. There's several signatures on here asking us that we restrict commercial traffic on this road due to the safety reasons. It's not, the road's really not meant for the heavy trucks. It's narrow. There's a lot of tight curves, poor sight distance, and several signatures on here, and I would suspect that it's probably just about every resident along Tanner Bridge from both ends of Route B. We've also had issues in Osage City. Trucks will go down Route J to get to the JCCC, which is here. There's actually an old, goes back many, many years, an old drive to get there. County maintenance ends right here on Osage Elm, and so trucks are crossing the railroad tracks and taking this back way and trying to think that they can get to there from there. They can't. When they realize that, they have to back up. They're getting stuck, and it's causing problems down there with a tow truck having to pull them out. Google Maps, if you look at that, it does in fact send you down Tanner Bridge to get down towards St. Thomas or Meta. It actually, it's not shown that way going to JCCC. However, as I understand it, we're still having issues with trucks going the back way.
I don't think it's been as bad.
It hasn't been as bad, but
No.
according to what I've heard, that issue still exists. Just some views of Tanner Bridge Road. This is built back in the old Special Road District days, probably back in the 60s. And really it was just paved on existing alignment, really not geared for the heavy traffic that is, or the heavy truck traffic that we're seeing on it. You can tell sight distance is pretty poor, tight curves, trucks can't make curves like this and stay in their lane, they off track, and cars coming the other way can't really see until it's too late and they're having to slow down, and there's been near misses. Again, kind of the same situation, showing what it is on the road. Tight curves like this, pretty normal for this road. Trees overhanging the road. Really, it's just not geared for truck traffic. A lot of trucks will clip these trees as they're driving through. This is actually on the spur as you come up towards Route B. And then down Osage City, as you cross the tracks, this when you get into Osage City, it goes from MoDOT maintained Route J to county maintained roads. Down when you get to the tracks, they're making this turn onto Osage Elm Street. And we did put a sign up a few years ago to try to discourage traffic, but we don't actually have the authority to regulate this. We just put the sign up. And it's narrow roads, and trucks are getting down to the end and can't, when they get down there, realize they're not in the right spot. They can't back up and they're getting stuck. And then here's the back entrance. They actually improved this entrance a few years back, but it still is not the right way to get to where they need to go. A view of Osage Hickory Street. And so, working with Jill, we came up with, tried to go through a few avenues to address this. Tried to get through to Google Maps to see if they'd change it. That was not going to happen. There really is not an easy way to get into them to actually talk to somebody that can do something about this. And other cities, other communities have been addressing it from an enforcement standpoint. And so, working with Jill, we decided that first we needed to amend the traffic safety code for Cole County. There's 3 sections to amend. Section 1-11, the penalties, we have to add a fine mechanism for this for commercial weight limit violation. Section 2-9, we would adopt a schedule of the commercial vehicle regulation, which would address the roads, specific roads we want to address, and then apply weight limits for those roads. And then a new section 2-24, which would be for commercial vehicles, which just states that no person shall operate a commercial vehicle on one of these roads or parts of these roads as described in the Schedule H, except those commercial vehicles making deliveries thereon. And this follows with state statutes. So we took this to the advisory board 2 weeks ago, and they recommended that we follow through with this, recommended to the commission to adopt the traffic code amendments. And a follow-up to that would be to work with MoDOT on signing on Route B, develop the signing for county roads, and then approve a court order for the new signs. We do have to do a court order for the traffic code amendments. The follow-up will be a court order specifically for these roads. And MoDOT actually is working on this right now and presented some of these ideas to us. They're actually going to let us put some signs out on Route B, which may not be totally normal. I think they're more willing to work with us because it is an issue, but that typically doesn't happen that often. So thankfully they're a cooperating partner with us. So with that said, we would need to either accept, modify, or deny the Traffic and Safety Advisory Board recommendations to approve a court order to adopt the Traffic Safety Code amendments. Is there any questions?
You've got wording in there that allows vehicles for local deliveries and that are doing the work in them areas. So it's not restricting that kind of stuff. It's just the through traffic.
Yeah, we have to specifically spell out that people living there or doing business with people living there can still use it for those
Yeah.
reasons.
I'm good.
I don't have any questions. We've been working on this for a while. Signs aren't gonna do it, obviously, when you see them driving over a bridge with a grain truck.
So this is just an amendment to the traffic and safety
This,
advisory code.
currently today, it's just doing the amendments to the Cole County Traffic Safety Code. Jill?
Well, I think we need to establish the penalty now too, what do you think?
Yeah, that would be, in section 1-11, the penalties. Fines may be up to 500 and imprisonment may be for a period not to exceed 3 months or both. Now, I think when we do this specific court order on the roads, we could apply that to that, correct? Or would that be in the schedule when we create it?
Well, I think the Schedule H is gonna have the penalty
Yeah.
in it. So I think the commission needs to determine what the penalty is for violating the commercial vehicle section. Just like you have penalties, for other stuff, parking, whatever. And so they probably need to, so that I can add that in the code.
Okay.
So you all, up to $500 or 3 months, and/or 3 months in jail. Johnny, have any opinions?
I mean, I don't have a problem at all if we can slow it down. The problem is gonna be enforcing, because when we see a tractor, we just can't stop a tractor trailer driving down that road because it could be delivering. So, but I think once you pass this, we advertise it, and the first 2 truckers that get stuck get a $500 fine. I think that's gonna be a deterrent all by itself. But this is definitely not a fast fix. I mean, but it's a step in the right direction.
One thing to add, I didn't put it in the presentation, but MoDOT, through their Motor Carrier Services, has a map or an app or something that lists all these either width restrictions or weight restrictions or whatever they are, where drivers, if they use it, they can see that there is, they can't go down this road, and they can pull that up.
That's going to be a lot of this. It really will.
And thankfully, MoDOT has some employees that are very familiar with Tanner Bridge Road and the issues that, again, I said earlier, they're working with us to solve this. So back to Jill's question about establishing the fine or the penalty, do you recommend that they do this in today's meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Would that be just as it reads here then, under the penalties?
Well, you gotta decide how much the fine is, and it's, I said up to 500, and if you want to assess any jail time, I don't know, maybe 3rd violation, they get a month at Hotel Wheeler.
I think you leave that up to the judge. I mean, if you get the first time, they'll fine them, that'll be the end of it. But if they come in there 2 or 3 times, I think that's whenever the judge will probably entertain someone actually going into my facility.
So does the judge assess the dollar amount on the fine then?
You assess if you say up to, then the judge will determine that.
Well, what we have now on the other penalties, it just has an amount, right, Eric?
For other things in the traffic code?
Yes, because they have that list.
I got the copy here.
Look at,
You probably need to come up to the
one
table,
of
Jill.
what?
You probably need to come up to the table so we can hear.
Yes.
Please.
Talk to the microphone.
So, section 1
Big kids table.
Section 1-11 does have penalties established
Right,
in
look.
E.
Yeah. So they just have straight amounts, speed limits, they have a straight amount plus an amount per mile over. So everything is, it's not an up to, it's just an amount.
I would think up to the $500 amount would be what we need to have in there. And then, like Sheriff said, that when it goes to court, you got the prosecutor involved and you got the judge involved. And the first time, they may just say, you know, don't do it again, or give us $25 or whatever. And then
Well, and you gotta remember, the
subsequently-
judge is gonna look at too, if, especially, like, the reason why it slowed down so much in Osage City is for a tow truck to come down and tow one of those, it's not cheap, so.
We do a traffic report too, so that we can get
Well, we
reimbursed for road damage.
We do
So it
property
takes your
construction.
time or else
Absolutely.
highway patrol time, so it's not.
So they're ended up paying already, so if you say up to 500 and they're already into this bad decision for $1,500, I mean, then they can say, well, we're gonna go ahead and throw another $100 at you, make sure that you don't drive down that road.
Yeah, but John, traffic penalties are not up to, they're usually a set
Generally, they're
amount.
set, yeah. They
That's
are.
why I'm saying, I think they need to just
Say 500 and be done
say
with it.
500 and be done with it.
You're talking about towing a truck? I mean, just because you get a traffic ticket doesn't mean you're gonna tow somebody,
No,
right?
they get stuck down there in
Oh.
Osage
They get
City.
stuck in Osage
They
City.
can't
see.
get turned around and they,
Hmm.
yeah, so they tear the ditches, the roads up, and then they have to get a tow truck to get them out of there. So
Hmm.
there's added cost to them, which is well over $500.
Well, and that's why I was laughing, because when he said that they fixed up that one area, it's because a truck got stuck and tore it all up down there, so they had to come in and fix it. Well, the tow company did. Or the company, the truck company did.
Yeah, I'm good with just setting it at $500.
Up to $500, or just, it's a $500 ticket. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Well, that's how traffic tickets work. And this is just what that statute that has to do with commercial vehicles just says you can establish a fine up to $500. The only time John's thinking of when you have up to this amount, it's for misdemeanors and felonies. You can get up to $1,000 fine
Right.
and up to X time in prison or jail. So traffic tickets have a
Spell
set
that.
amount, which this would be a traffic ticket.
Yep.
So, set amount.
I'm fine either way.
So a speeding ticket is a set amount,
It is,
but
depending on how much,
if you
how
go to
fast.
court, you don't pay it. You
Well, you
either
gotta get a lawyer.
You can possibly do some probation, keep it off your license, keep your
And
insurance
that,
down.
and if a truck driver gets a $500 ticket and goes to court, then the judge has that option, depending on if they hire a lawyer and all that stuff, that they could say, well, we're gonna, you know, you have to do something.
So.
So it's up to the.
It's also up to the officer that could say, hey, you know, here's a warning. And then
Yes.
is that on record at some point? So the next time they
Absolutely.
come through, you can say, well,
Yeah.
you already had
So-
your warning, here's your get out of jail free card, but now
Right,
you're.
and so Jeff
skipping.
City and Cole County share the same CAD system, so if I give a warning, if JCPD pulls them over somewhere inside the city for driving stupid, they can pull it up and say, hey, Cole County deputy's already given you 3 warnings because of this.
How long do my warnings stay on record?
Well, certain people,
Okay.
they stay forever.
Did they take them off?
All right, I'm fine with just doing it, the fine at 500. I mean, you have any qualms with that, Eric, or
No.
just set it at 500 and then they can decide with that. And
They can fight in court if they don't like it.
Okay.
So you all need to make a motion and vote on that.
so we need to amend we're not voting to
You can vote to amend the traffic code.
accept, we're gonna modify.
Modify the traffic and safety advisory board's recommendation for this fines may be up to 500 or whatever, just no straight 500. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's what we were leaning towards. That's where I'm leaning anyway.
Yeah, I think-
You said
I
you
think
don't
Two
care.
issues.
No, I think
One is
it's-
amending the code to add the commercial vehicle thing, and then the other one is to vote on what the penalty's gonna be.
This document, we're just amending the code today. Okay,
Okay.
the second document, as Jill said, as I understand it, we would.
Well, these are
there's
two
a-
votes.
Yeah, there's 2 votes, so there's a court order to amend the code.
Right, and that code, and I'll put the amendments in there, and that will include the fine.
Yeah,
So that'll be in the same court order.
yeah, and that's just, all that does is put in there say any commercial, we now have the ability to regulate commercial vehicles on roads. It doesn't say which roads, we're just saying we have the ability. Now,
And establish that penalty.
yeah, so it's been,
I just think they should vote
So I
on this
have 3
separately.
traffic code amendments here that we're supposed to approve, right? But we're gonna change the one of them.
the section 1-11 will be changed.
I just, hey Jeff, the only, on 111 and 2-9, I was just explaining what you need to do. The section 224 is the exact language based on the statute. So I just think amend it to include commercial vehicle regulation in general and not these specific things. And then I would do another vote to establish a $500 fine. Today, yes.
Okay.
I'm still lost.
I'm partially lost too, so don't feel bad. And then, okay, then we'll follow
These are
up-
just separate votes, but
Yes.
they can be in the same court order.
Yes, correct. So that's today. At a later meeting, we'll actually give you exactly what we're gonna put on the sign, exactly how we're gonna do that on the exact road
And the schedule.
in the schedule. That'll be another meeting. Follow up to this. We had to first amend the traffic code before we could add the signs and establish.
So we're gonna make a motion to amend the traffic code.
To include commercial vehicle regulation.
We're not doing anything to section 111 or 29 at this point.
Yeah, I wrote this up and sent it to Eric to share with the Traffic Safety Committee. And the 111 and 29 are just explaining what we need to do to amend the code. If that makes sense. The sections of the code where we're gonna be adding the commercial vehicle
But
stuff.
this is what the traffic advisory committee brought to us, so we need to either accept, deny, or modify. And I see it as we need to modify it because we're changing the fines instead of being up to 500.
To
The fine shall
500.
be-
Well, that doesn't, that isn't written that the fine shall be up to 500. It's just written that way to let you know what fine you can do. So you can fine $50 or $500. That's what I'm saying. 111 and 29 aren't actual language. It's just an explanation of what needs to be done.
Okay.
224 is exact language.
So what we're either accepting, modifying, or denying is the new section 2-24 commercial vehicles. And nothing with 111 or 29.
Well, I'll be amending those too.
I thought you just said you weren't.
What I said is, this isn't the language that's gonna be in there. 111, all we're gonna do is add, and Eric, you can show them that page. There's a list of fines, offenses and fines.
Basically that.
So all we're gonna do is at the bottom of that, put commercial vehicle weight limit, and then the amount of fine. And then in 2.9, there's a list of schedules that allegedly exist somewhere that, these schedules have the list of all the streets that have stop signs and speeding limits and all that.
No
So,
parking and everything. And so, basically, the code would just be amended to say Schedule H, commercial vehicle regulation. Okay, and that's it. And then the schedules get, as these
Attachments.
are approved and all that for different roads, no parking, stop signs and everything, then they get added to the schedule.
Right.
We would just add these roads, this weight limit as a schedule. You don't have to go back and amend the code. We just,
Okay.
and it'll be an attachment to the traffic safety code.
Okay, so the board recommended amending the Cole County Traffic Code as stated.
yes.
Yes.
That's the section 2-24 commercial vehicles only.
No. Because,
So,
I guess I'm leaving the schedules out of it right now is what I was looking at, right?
well, in the code, here, Eric, hand me that, please. In the code,
I like commercial vehicle.
here's section 2-9, adopting these codes. So they've got a list here. There's Schedule A, speed limits, B, C, D, whatever. So, 2-9, all we're gonna do is add Schedule H there, commercial vehicle weight limits.
So, but we don't have Schedule H yet, so how can we
No, Jeff,
agree
just,
to do this today?
Jeff, we're just putting the wording in here. Because this is the traffic safety code, and part of amending it is just to add that language.
We are moving to amend the traffic.
The schedules get changed all the
Yeah.
time as new roads,
Yeah.
new signs and all that get approved.
The schedule's something's different, but the word, we gotta put
Okay,
Schedule
so
H.
in 2-9, we want to add Schedule H dash commercial vehicle regulation. That's all that's gonna be in there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I highlighted in red kind of what we would do today. And for the penalties, commercial vehicle weight limit
Okay.
violation, $500.
Yeah, so section 1 will add commercial vehicle weight limit, and then you all vote on the fine. That's 111.
And that'd be under the E where it's got all the numbers.
Yeah.
So it'll just say the commercial vehicle weight limit violation, $500.
Yes.
Did you see all that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And then we're adding section 2-24.
That's it.
Okay, did you see it, Chris? Did you understand? That makes more sense there for me now.
Yeah, it's kind of visual.
Because we're adding
But here's
the
Yeah.
schedule, but we're not adding the
It's right
schedule.
here, adopting, these schedules are adopted. All we're gonna do here is put
Gotta have
Schedule
pictures
H,
for us, Eric.
commercial
Pictures?
vehicle.
I mean, besides the other ones, yeah, those are nice pictures too.
You still got your coloring book?
Eric, do you
Yeah.
have this kind of problem with the traffic safety committee?
No.
But he gives them donuts and they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you would've brought donuts, it would've,
Plus
Okay,
it's really early in the morning.
Just saying.
Okay,
Well, I
here it
mean,
is.
raise your hand if you're not the only person
adding
confused in here.
Yeah.
H.
No, we're just adding, that's 111. Eric, go back.
I think you were confused too, Eric, a little bit.
I'm always confused.
We're just gonna add here, commercial
I
vehicle
think you
weight
knew what you were
limit.
talking about. You just
$500.
didn't know what you were saying to us.
It does help when you see it.
We're adding the schedule, but we're not gonna add the schedule.
Adding the wording that we're gonna have one.
Because the schedule is always changing, because we always are adding new signs and stuff via court order, we don't actually put the schedule in the actual document. It's just an attachment that can change.
That has a list.
But I didn't have that in front of me, didn't know what you were talking about, reference. Do I have it here?
I'll attach that with the, Melody should have attached that.
I got 26 pages here, so lots of pictures, but not that one. I got the Tanner Bridge petition.
Oh, that's what I sent.
Okay, all right.
I thought you'd keep one of these in your office and you read it every now and then.
My back pocket.
Oh, really?
Come over the back.
Pocket turn is good.
Glove box in the truck.
okay, are you good?
Well, make a motion there, chief, if you got it.
Well, if it's easier, make a motion for each one. We're gonna add the commercial vehicle weight limit violation
Well-
of $500 to section 1.
Well, that's gonna be a
Therein
second
lies
one.
My next question is that we can either accept, modify, or deny the Traffic and Safety Advisory Board recommendations. So it sounds like we're wanting to modify it because we're gonna put the fine as $500, correct?
Yes.
No, because they didn't actually establish fine.
Okay, so.
They just said, yeah, add these things to the code. So I'd say accept their recommendations to amend the code and then vote on the fine for violating commercial vehicle weight limits is $500. I would do two separate motions.
Okay, so we'll make a motion to accept the Traffic and Safety Advisory Board recommendations. Do I need to say what they were?
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I
I'll
wouldn't.
give her the exact wording so she can put it in minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
But it's the highlighted stuff right there.
except for the $500.
I second it. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
So, then do we need to approve
Establishing.
The $500.
fine for the commercial vehicle weight limit violation?
Yes.
Yes.
Make a motion, we establish a $500 fine for the commercial vehicle weight limit violation.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. You got anything else, Eric?
Not today, thank goodness.
You're accepted the job, so.
Yeah.
Too late now.
Oh, I can.
There's no give backs.
Hey, wait a minute, did he sign it yet?
Sign what?
Your acceptance?
I never was offered a.
I would just
I didn't
make
have
sure
anything
you
to sign,
check
did
that,
I?
because somebody will try to slip the animal control in.
yeah.
Small writing.
I already got a deal worked out with Larry.
I'm not saying that he's done that before, but
Animal control.
What?
You'll know all about it here in about another month.
just if you ever receive an award from him, before accepting it, make sure you read the small print that says, by accepting this award, I'm also
I
accepting.
feel bad about that now.
Just watch what you sign, huh? Okay, so,
Okay.
Oh, goodness.
thank you. I'll get you information.
I got the motions, okay?
Okay.
Sounds great, thanks.
Anything and nothing else, Eric, right?
I am done.
Okay, then we are going to
Sorry, it was a little.
discussion approval of employee handbook policy manual.
Did you say approval or review?
Well, I would say just discussion and review, because I just printed this off and it's like, it's, I don't,
Yeah, there's a lot here, but.
I don't think there's any way I'm gonna approve this today.
Well,
We need to start going through it.
Well, I know, but
I'm going through the final draft, and I'm gonna get with Debbie and Kristen on some of these questions I have, and Matt, I know, wants to add some stuff to the Sarah section. Then the thought is to send that to all the elected officials and department heads for input.
So, have they seen it yet? This rough draft?
No.
No.
This is the
Okay.
last draft we got from Sheila,
So,
and I'm going through that.
I know there's changes that probably need to be made to it yet, but would there be anything wrong with go ahead and showing it to them now, because it's 9 or 10 sections and it's real interesting reading.
yeah. I came up Sunday to print, I'm like,
Well, my thought is, I mean, I'm gonna make these changes. And
Okay.
so, instead of duplicating efforts, so they can see
I
the
don't wanna read it
latest
twice.
draft.
Yeah.
What's Kristen?
Okay.
I don't wanna read it twice. If she's
That's-
gonna make changes, I
I'm
don't
fine.
wanna have
Yeah,
to.
if at all possible.
I
if
just
she- if
wanted to
she's-
make sure y'all didn't think we were just throwing, I mean, we've been working on this for a while. We've had a company
Well-
that was working on it, and then they had some issues, and so it slowed things down.
Well, actually,
And-
the coronavirus
Yes.
put it to a stop. We were meeting every week. And actually making some pretty good headway.
Well, Debbie and I then remotely consulted with Sheila on getting this final draft put together, and then she dropped, just disappeared.
Yeah.
Well, it's a
We had
combination of
cares
things.
come up, so it's been very good.
Okay.
So I've got the last one she had, and I've got some things I'm gonna do. Matt just looked at the Sarah stuff, and he has some changes, so I'm gonna get with him and fix that, and then send it out to everybody.
So can
Okay.
we get it on a schedule? So,
I
can
can
you,
get
can you,
it
you have
done.
your, okay, so you'll have your edits done and out to elected officials by the end of the week,
Plan to.
okay? And then everybody can have a week to look at it, and then we can bring it back.
We can put it on schedule every week until we decide that we're done making changes and want to approve it, to keep it moving.
Right.
I don't care. We'll get it moving again.
I'd like to review it again, at least, yeah, either every week or get it back here by the 10th.
Just don't let Erica present it or anything.
oh, God.
How many sections are there, Jill?
Well, put it this way, it's almost 70 pages.
Can we do like a section at a time? I mean,
Well,
Some sections are easier.
I'm gonna get my whole thing I've done, sent out, and I mean, because some sections, there's nothing, I don't, and some of them I have questions. I need to ask somebody like Debbie, you know, whatever, for workers' comp or something, how exactly is this handled? You know, the practical aspect of it.
Well, I just feel like we have so many different situations with different departments that sometimes the change one department wants to make is different from another department, and how they handle something. We want to make sure that the language covers everyone.
Sure.
So I think there could be multiple opinions coming from different places.
Well, I think it would be helpful for everybody to look at it and then, you know, do track changes or comments or whatever in Word, because it's a Word document, so that you have it right in front of you, what your issues are or questions are in the, you know, does that make sense?
I don't know, I know that just with my command staff, when you track changes on a policy, and there's just 5 of us, right, or 4 of us that put input on this, it gets pretty lengthy on just one. If you have 10 people doing track changes on one document, I think you're asking.
I'm saying you do your own separate ones.
Oh, okay, all
For
right.
each
So not
office.
just one document and everyone has a track
Oh,
change on
no.
it? Okay, good.
You have
yeah.
yours, Eric has his, Kristen has hers. and
But
so
what I'm
forth.
saying is you come back with a 70-page document with track changes on everything, and everyone has different things, it's gonna take us.
Well, we'll take it section, that's when I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Section by section, you know, and I mean, we may have some sections that nobody's gonna have anything.
Yeah. So I don't know if you do it by, because I get where Chris is coming from. Because we've been, you know, beating this horse for a while, so maybe instead of sections, let's do a time limit. Because there are gonna be some of these sections that I really don't care about. So we'll whip through, maybe, we'll say we take an hour. And we may get 7 sections done in that hour, because there's not much going on. And then we may get to one section that everyone has input on, and only maybe one. But we're not spending 8 hours, especially, you know, there's a lot going on right now with everybody. But there's just a lot going on, and I don't know if we can allot 6 hours to sit down and go through, because we'll miss something.
I think that's a good idea, 1 hour at a time.
You just do it, I mean, and you try to keep it on schedule, and you keep moving, you know.
And I'm not sure what your goal is to make the manual legal and binding and helpful to the employees, or is your goal to have it wide open and change things that are in there, i.e. vacation time, sick time, holiday? What is the ultimate goal to be done with this? Because everybody's gonna have their own opinion on different things depending on their department. As the ultimate goal is just to get a document out there that's legal and user-friendly for the employees to use and to understand, or are we talking about changing sections of this?
Substantive changes.
Yes. Because I hear both, and I mean, and that's well and good, now's the time to do it. I'd like to get a legal document out there first, and then if there's something each department wants to horn in on, then we talk about that as you guys talk about that. If that's something you want to do countywide. I'd really like to get the legal document out there first.
Well, one document doesn't fit every department,
No.
so, you know.
Well,
And then each department's gonna have their own specific policies. For instance, nobody else, I don't think Public Works has any on the running of the jail. But I do, so,
But we
animal
all,
control you do,
but we all live with this document as far as vacation, sick,
Right.
holidays, workers' comp.
Timesheets.
Yeah, time
Workers'
sheets,
comp.
yeah. If we want to do it differently for different departments, i.e. road and bridge,
Overtime.
overtime versus sheriff's overtime versus, we
There-
already have that
There's,
in the manual.
yeah, there's a provision there on how Public Works has the 8-hour day or whatever, and the sheriff has the 2 weeks.
I've got 8-hour days. I want an 8-hour day. That'd be cool.
So in the policy manual,
There's an 8-hour day.
there's comp time and all that stuff, sick leave and
Yeah.
all that. But I don't know that we have our own internal policy on that, so would we do our own and then be part of the?
You would need to have your internal policy in your
Because
department.
it's in the manual. It sets out the usual thing for overtime, And then it has the 2 exceptions from the usual way it's calculated, our public works and the sheriff. So that's in there. Basically what the policy manual is, it sets out everything that's pretty much applicable to everyone in the county, office holders and everything else, because it's stuff like, you know, what qualifies as overtime, how's comp time handled, workers' comp, drug testing or alcohol testing, and all of those kinds of things. And then you may or may not have need for separate policies that are not addressed in that. Like, for instance, John has jail time and how the sheriff handles internal affairs and all that business. Health department, EMS have HIPAA compliance policies specific to their departments.
And our manual would say the HIPAA part, but then refer back to your own department.
I don't think, we don't even address it because it's not universally applicable to the county.
I thought there was in there, but it
I
only
don't-
had some, yeah.
I mean, I haven't finished going through the whole thing, but, I mean, like John, for instance, the jail has their own medical contractor, and that would apply to them, but that's their deal, they're a company, and they know it.
So, I guess in the short time frame, we can get the policies out and as is, make it legal. But if you want to dig into some of these more, let's say, hot topic changing things, then I think that definitely has to be a standalone kind of thing, change that manual.
I think John's idea, I'll just get it out, send it to everybody, you go through it yourselves and see if you wanna see something different or whatever, or, I know there's some sections that just say department heads, but I need to add in or elected official. Because, you know, who's ever in charge is making that determination.
Sure.
And technically, the elected officials are offices, not departments. Just to keep it clean, you know, that's the kind of picky ass stuff I'm doing. And then everybody can look at it. Some of you may not even have anything you want to note or change on it. I mean, that's my goal, is to have a document that's gonna be universally applicable
Acceptable.
and acceptable to everybody.
Yep.
And your schedule for this, we're gonna be 1 hour.
Well, no, that's gonna be up to.
Yeah, we could do it on Thursdays after the care, because
I gotta say, I've got jury duty starting Monday.
how can you,
So if I got a 5-day criminal trial, I'm not gonna be here.
Don't
Well,
you
you'll have
know all
lots of
the
time to
attorneys
read.
and the judges? You
How
can't
can
get out of
you-
They
that?
won't let you bring anything.
No.
how can you, sir, what, county jury or federal?
County. I get out of federal jury because I'm a lawyer.
So I would like to see wholesale changes made in it by department, especially for vacation, time off, comp time, all those things. I'd like to see it laid out by department. Just because I don't think one size fits all. I mean, we're too diverse. Public Works is different, Sheriff's different,
Yep.
EMS is different, and so, I mean, you give them an equal compensation for, but it's gotta be different. I mean, I think it's just too hard to say one size fits all. But, sorry, Debbie.
It's unusual that the state doesn't do that, the city doesn't do that. So I don't know why. I would want to refer to those 2 different employers too, to see how they do it. They may have a little bit different for their, and we do right now have a little different for our public works department. And the sheriff is a little different, he's figured on 2 weeks 80. You know, so, I mean, vacation sick, I don't know why that would differ from one department to another.
Well, but why is Public Works on a 8-hour day from 7 to 4? And the sheriff, you know, his hours, your guys get paid different when they work an evening shift? Well, so,
Well, what Debbie's talking about is benefits.
Right.
well, these are benefits. I mean,
Well, that's by law. He
That's
has options.
FLSA.
Yeah.
right, but what if they work an evening shift? Why should they get comp time?
But that was the decision that was made by the commission.
So what I'm saying is, it's already different. There's already exceptions to all the rules.
And I said, we do have that already, but I don't see exceptions.
But it's not laid out in here.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, on the overtime,
Yes.
it says Public Works, any time up to 2 hours over an 8-hour shift unless they're working, the shift itself is 10-hour days. So if they got 4 10s, they don't get any overtime between 8 and 10 hours. But if they've got an 8-hour day and they work a 10-hour day, they get 2 hours of overtime.
Does it say when their shift starts and ends?
No.
See, so your shift could start at midnight and you work till 8 AM.
It doesn't distinguish anything.
But that's not how you guys turn in your pay, right?
Well, let's say they come in at 4 AM, plow snow. Do they leave when their 8 hours are up? Let's say we're done, cleaned up, or do we wait till the end of the normal working hours?
Right.
I guess kind of where you're leading to.
But you're not gonna get, Chris, you're not wanting to get that specific as putting times down, are you? Because,
Not necessarily, but I mean, you know, there's just different situations
Oh, I
for
understand.
for everything. I mean, and so, you know, say your guys were working a case or something, and I don't know, they might work a ton and put in a lot of time, but at some point, you know, they deserve overtime. I mean, but spell that out somewhere. Is it
Sure.
is it after 8 hours, or is it after a 40-hour week, or
so I see what you're saying, we're already doing it, we just need to write it down so everybody can see what it is, and then you can look at it and see how everybody else is doing it.
But the same way with Public Works is, so a big snowstorm comes in and maybe they work 40 hours and maybe you get some overtime after 8 hours or after 10 hours or whatever, but now you're done. You worked all weekend, you worked Monday and Tuesday. Well, you're not gonna get paid for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday because you've already put in your time.
Well, John's time, the 2-hour,
Oh,
that's statutory. I mean, there's a federal law that addresses that. And otherwise, it's everybody's 40 hours. Anything over 40 hours actually worked. So if you're on vacation, part of that week you don't get overtime. But anything over 40 hours actually worked qualifies for overtime. And in our case, we're choosing to do comp time instead. And this is under the federal labor laws.
Right. And you could do
The
more.
Public Works change is not in the law.
Right.
But for some reason, the commission decided that they would get, I mean, put it this way, the federal law requires you to pay it after 40 hours, or 80 in John's case. But it's not gonna punish you if you do something that gives them more of a benefit, like Public Works.
just a minimum.
Right, and MoDOT, different places like that, you know, they went to a 40-hour week. So what we have is a little different, but what they do is a little different, you know, getting pulled out in the middle of the night, whatever. I mean, that's an option to go back to a 40-hour week on there, and not the 8-hour day.
I'm not saying one way or the other, but I'm saying we have to come up with a fair solution that, you know, if you work 40 hours in 2 days or whatever, you know, pay them the regular time, pay them the overtime, and then they're off the rest of the week, or something.
And
Or
you
if they
can't do
get
that.
recalled, or, but I mean, you shouldn't have to work 2 full days pushing snow and then think that, oh, it's only Wednesday, so I'm coming in from 7 to 4.
Yeah, that's a scheduling thing.
Yeah, and things have changed a lot at the Public Works Department as far as that, because they were working those kind of hours. You know, and that's why they paid them after 80 hours. Now we have contract workers that come in and help when there's long hours. So that has changed that part of the way they work. They don't work that way. And plus, DOT doesn't let them work that way, if I'm right. Or not.
Well, and this
Yeah,
is
depends
the
what kind
kind
of truck
of,
you're driving.
this is the kind of stuff that's getting into the weeds.
Right.
And if Public Works wants to get that specific, then they need to have their internal manual, rather than getting that specific about a particular department in the overall county policy manual.
Yeah.
But so that's where the problem lies, is that if the policy manual says this, and then the internal policy says something different, then,
Can't,
And it's not gonna be different.
no,
well,
you can't.
it is. That's what you just said, Jill. I mean,
If it has
No.
to do with pay, I need it in our manual, period.
And what you're talking about is the scheduled time. I mean, if they work over 40 hours, they're gonna get overtime.
Right. 10-hour shift is a 10-hour shift, and which 10 hours they come in is a 10. So she cares about a 10-hour shift, he cares the times they're gonna work that 10-hour shift. So it's, you can add to, but you can't take away. Basically, a law. You can add to a law, but you can't take
Right.
away.
I get it.
Oh, I'm with you, I see exactly what
But I
you're saying.
mean, if you work 10 and then you work 6 more, I mean, that should be overtime.
No, exactly.
Right. But the problem is that if you never get to 40, it's not overtime. Right, Debbie?
In most departments, most departments.
So,
That's what works out for the sheriff, I have him 2 weeks 80. If his guys work a big case at the beginning, then he can let them off to help his overtime situation. We don't have that here, it's 8. They don't have the same kind of overtime. Just like EMS, they work, all of theirs is straight overtime, and they're scheduled overtime. So they get the overtime.
But is the sheriff's part in the policy now?
Yes.
It's 2 week 80, yes.
Yes. it's in the
And
manual.
that's federal law.
I didn't see that in here.
In the new one, or are you looking at the new one or the old one, Jeff?
It's in the new one too.
Well, I haven't seen it, so,
Right.
but that's what I was asking him, though.
What's it under?
Compensation.
Compensation plan?
So it's a living, breathing document. It will change all the time, even if we get it approved. But I'm just saying, legally, I'd like to get one out to replace the one we have, and then go specific on these topics, if that's what your goal is. But I would like to compare our benefits to the city and the state, because that's where we have our employment.
Competition.
Yeah.
So where's it at under the compensation plan part?
Gerald, do you have a copy of it?
We haven't seen it.
In my office.
Page 36.
Jenny, you're gonna get a draft out.
See, now you made it mad.
I'm on page 63, that should be close enough. It's 120.
You're dyslexic.
So,
I think it talks about it generally. And I see what you're saying, Chris. You're wanting to be more specific when we're talking about it, something to refer to.
well, just, if you work the shift, you know, and you're working overtime, you should get paid overtime. And then, I mean, it gets really gray when you start getting into holidays that are worked, and so, I mean, and it works for all you guys. I mean, it works for EMS too, but if you have to come in and work a holiday, you know, rather than get an 8-hour holiday and you gotta work the whole day, I mean, I just think that you should, you know, instead of taking the holiday, you just get paid double time and move on. So,
Okay, Jeff, page 29.
No, I'll disagree with you on that one, because then that means if you work on a holiday, then you get holiday pay. If you don't work on a holiday, you don't get nothing.
no, you still get the holiday.
So,
That's a normal day off.
but yeah, that's not fair, because then you have somebody that works at the courthouse for Thanksgiving, gets a 3-day work week, and they get 2 days pay, vacation. My staff, if they're off on Thursday and Friday, happen to be off, then they work their regular schedule, and they don't get nothing.
They still get a 8-hour holiday.
But they don't get paid for it, so you're.
Sure they do.
Well, you get copied, we get paid.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, but with what he said. Now, if you want to go with I don't like the 8-hour holiday time thing we have right now. It's a scheduling nightmare. But the problem you have is, it's not fair to say nobody's going to get holiday time. The only people, if you're working the holiday, then you get double time. That means the majority of your staff is not going to get anything. And that's not fair to them.
Well, they call it all paid time off.
Go to PTO.
Mhm.
I'm not opposed to that, but that's a bigger question. That's a huge conversation, because I'm already 26% down in the jail. We start affecting our sick leave, holiday time without really thinking about it, then I'm gonna go even more, because that's what these millennials are looking at. They're looking at the benefits, and they're looking at career track. So if we start adjusting those things, And I'm not saying that we don't look at PTO. I think it's a viable option for us to look at, but I think that we need, if we're gonna do it, we need to look at it in all aspects and make sure that it's fair across the board. By paying, for instance, if my staff, if you say there's no more holiday time, but if you work on a holiday, then you get double time. Well, that means those that are off on Thursday, Friday for Thanksgiving don't get nothing, except they get the day off, but they had that day off anyway. So that's not fair. Because you have somebody working at the courthouse that gets a 3-day week and 2 days pay off. You get a 4-day weekend, and then I have my staff that's on the regular schedule do nothing.
Well, if we have no holiday time, then we gotta open the office for Christmas.
Well, and there's more than that I would have all kinds of people volunteering to work on holidays. I mean, you don't need that. And so we even looked at paying, just straight paying, like the PD does. They just pay 8 hours during that month. They just pay 8 hours and say, here's your holiday time. You're not getting scheduled day off, but here's your 8 hours holiday time. So everybody will get the 8 hours holiday time. And I looked at that. I can't afford it.
I was gonna say, some of these changes would have significant impacts on
It's
the budget.
significant impact, even double time. It would be.
Right.
That would be, I don't even know if I could do double time.
And I would think, yeah, you'd want those numbers ran before those decisions were made.
Yeah, that's, I get what you're saying. The PTO, I mean, businesses are going to that a lot now.
But then they buy short-term disability
Disability.
Yeah.
policies
Yeah.
for all their employees.
Yeah,
And we
that's a
looked at
huge
that cost,
discussion.
and we looked at
Yeah,
that
because the
cost.
point is, you know, if you get cancer or have surgery or God forbid, catch the coronavirus and you're one of these people who end up in the hospital for 2 months, you know, that's part of that.
No, I'm with you. I think it's worth a conversation, definitely, but I think it's a huge conversation.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be our biggest conversation on the handbook is,
We'll definitely get started with Jill's, and then we'll take it from there.
yep.
Yeah,
Little
these
stickies.
changes, questions, you know, probably the only one around here that goes through this line by line. But that's what I do.
I just finished up on my book, so I'm ready.
So you're not gonna be here next week?
If I get called for jury duty. But I called, Donnie told me, said, Donnie, he said, call Pat.
So what kind of trial do you want Jill to be on? So I think we can make this fun for us.
From my end, actually, it's very interesting. Last time I was called, I really wanted to be on the case, and Mark Richardson really wanted to be
I
on
think
it.
you do some type of election law,
John?
something stupid like that.
I already gave you that.
No, I'm saying to go to a court case, you have to sit in a jury room for 8 hours on some state election deal. That'd be funny.
Is that all we
No,
got?
those are.
Is that, yeah, do we have anything else?
So, while Chris is here, we've been talking about the DevNet things. Are you available Thursday then? We do not have much on her besides the CARES Act, and I think that Chris and Sam need to be in on these conversations too, and talk about some of the issues y'all are having with it. I want them to be subject to it too. So, there's some stuff if you wanna come up and talk about it with all of us.
I'm available.
Okay. Yeah. So we can just
Okay.
put it on the agenda.
Well, that's, yeah.
Thursday we're meeting with them at 8 o'clock for the CARES Act funding, and where we take today, 20 minutes at the most. So,
Unless we get a lot of
Let's do that.
requests, we should.
do that Thursday then. So, all right.
Okay.
And talking about the CARES Act, do you want there to be more stuff on the website trying to attract people? Do you want to talk about how to get people to put in applications, or just leave it alone?
I've just been sending them to the website. I've had several people either email me or message me, and I go to our website and copy and paste it and say, here, go to this, and if you have troubles, let me know. And I've not had anybody say they've had troubles. They ask if they qualify, and I said, I'm not at liberty to say yes or no, or leaving that up to BKD to determine that. So just fill out the application, and I did a dry run through there. It's not that bad. I mean, but they'll be able to tell you if you qualify, so. I think it's been working pretty slick. I don't know. Anybody else? Internal stuff?
Order our committee.
We want it just hard enough, they'll say Larry can't fill them out, you know? You've been sitting over there without anybody throwing anything at you, so.
That's why I try to get behind the post here.
You just woke up.
So, I think it's been working good. I don't know.
Masks were good for.
Yeah, I think so. I've had
All right,
a couple
Laurel.
calls too from businesses, but you can't fill out the application form, so.
No, and that's why we want BKD to
Yeah.
be there as a kind of a third party person to check.
Anything else? See, you guys need to get masks like this. If you're gonna wear a mask, you need masks like this.
I had one of those on yesterday.
Matches my tie.
So are you wearing it for effectiveness? Have you washed it? Is it clean? You just touched it. Now you can't go around touching stuff.
Do we have anything else?
It's a fashion accessory.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what they are right now.
Yeah,
It
Yeah.
doesn't work.
It
You have
doesn't.
to, you have to mess with it to
It's
get
a
it to
fashion
work.
accessory.
it is. It matches my tie.
One online, you're probably gonna see.
All right, I'll make a motion to stay in recess until 4:30.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
You have to play with it, but you can get it to work.